house and immediately notices something. It's still full of his late wife's belonging. Is it unreasonable for Ethel to want to erase the presence of the woman who came before her?
Yes.
Really? So if you married a widow and she said, no, my husband slept there, you got to sleep on the floor.
See, that's different. That's different now. What the hell?
No. What's the difference there?
Okay, if I was forced to go through in an enchanted forest somewhere, Lady Ethel Drader, Verity, Isolde, Tremaine, Bramley lives as the widowed mother of 3. In a house with cracked walls, leaked ceilings, and an empty fridge, Ethel and her daughters depend on the predatory instincts of a falcon for their next meal. But that is all about to change when her daughters receive invites to Prince Simeon's ball, a chance to woo the heir to the throne, and compete for a chance to be the next queen of somewhere. You've heard this story before, but not like this. Did you know when you saw... I know you didn't read the blurb. Did you know when you saw the title that it was a Cinderella retelling?
It's a Cinderella retelling.
Yeah, you can't even hide your little smile.
How did you know?
You might have sold it. You might have sold me on that if you could keep a straight face to save your life.
You know what? There was definitely 1 or 2 people that would disagree with what I'm about to say next, but I'm a terrible liar. Pause the video right now. Go and read Lady Tremaine by
Rachel Hochhauser. And when you've read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library.
Do you think this is another one of those authors that you've butchered the name?
I don't think that...
Hochhauser! Sorry, Hochhauser!
When you see the name, it's just like... It made the most sense to go with what I went with. That does not by any stretch of imagination mean I'm right.
It's less embarrassing to not commit than it is to commit. Because if you get it wrong and you know you've got it wrong, I'm 100%. British. But if you try and go...
You can just accept the correction. But if you like change flow halfway through, it's just like... I don't know.
You're doing too much, bro.
100%.
You're doing too much.
100%.
So yes, I did know from the get-go. I did know from the get-go that it was a Cinderella story, but I didn't know anything else. And anything else I found out about Lady Tremaine, I found out after I completely finished the book.
Watch Cinderella. I mean, I believe you did. It was your favorite movie.
Well, I kind of wrote something in.
What a shame.
Now you've.
Don't worry, we can. I
can cut it. I'm gonna cut.
That's
like an idiot.
That's diabolical. Do you know what I mean?
I think we should get straight into it since you've got lots of things to talk about.
This is going to be one of those books. Remarkable how much I say that, but
it's gonna make it go.
One of the books that beats me around the head with how oppressed its female characters are and why I should feel bad for being a man. Well, I don't. I feel great.
It'd be even better if we lived in them times.
Exactly. All things I'd get up to.
I'd be the prince.
However,
Andrew.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Double down.
Oh, just double, triple down. However, at least with this book, we are promised some substance of some kind. Using real-life injustices as a crutch is a tried and tested literary device, very rarely makes for boring reads. I'll give an example of what I think is a really good piece of concept-bending writing from the very first chapter. According to a map, I own a piece of land. But a map is only a symbol. It has no real connection to the soil. A map is made, and then the land changes, but the map does not change with it. And yet, we respect maps as if they are the law, allowing them to determine yours, mine, ours, theirs, his, rarely hers.
Oh, beautiful.
I thought that was really good. I like that passage because it encourages the reader to question how real a lot of man-made concepts actually are, or aren't. Ask yourself, why Russia appears so much larger than the continent of Africa on the world map we were all shown as children, when in reality, Africa is twice the size. So it's racism!
But, there was lots of clever bits of writing in this book. I appreciated it.
Too many for my liking. But,
well, I was going to say that a lot of people said that it was it took them out of the story. It was distracting.
I hear what they're saying.
But I mean, if you're going to write a Cinderella story, you need to add in your own creativity somewhere.
It has to come in somewhere. But that is the first problem. You didn't have to write a Cinderella story.
Yeah.
Regardless, before we spoil.
I think you should go again.
Oh yeah. I'm beginning to see why this book is 15 hours long. Not necessarily because of substance, although I could be wrong, still early doors, but because this author is in love with hearing herself talk. Or rather, Lady Tremaine is in love with internal monologuing, although those are the same thing to me. During her expositional prose dumps regarding her upbringing, Tremaine talks about being raised by her father initially and then being schooled by a private tutor called Agatha. There's a lot of, I learned how to X and Y. I learned how to Y and Z. I learned how to 1 and 2 and 3, how to 4 and 5, and on it goes.
It's almost like she was trying to get us to feel sorry for her.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Let me play my violin for you.
You're royalty. Why do I feel sorry for you?
You're at least rich anyway.
Like, we get it. Clearly, she never learned how to shut up. I noticed a similar thing in chapter 1 where she spends a whole page waxing lyrical about how peregrine falcons hunt. By all means, I love learning new facts while I'm reading, but I want actual facts, not endless gratuitous poetry.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm surprised. I don't think I've ever seen a book go over 12 hours for substantive reasons. Usually it's the author boosting the word count because people attribute higher word counts with quality, especially in high fantasy.
So what? You don't? No,
it's far too common.
Yeah.
For me though, I don't mind a lot of words, but the words should be spent on world building, not expositional dumps. It took us a chapter and a half to even learn our main character's name, and we still don't know where she lives, who the royal family are, or anything about the world we've been introduced to.
Yeah. So see, that's one of my points as well. It was far too
blatant to me.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It seems like you've copied my notes at this point, but that's fine. We will.
I checked your hard drive. Police are coming, by the
way. I'm not sure if this will surprise anyone, but I've never actually read Cinderella. I don't know who Lady Tremaine is. In fact, the only thing I really know about Cinderella is the glass slipper. And I say all that because I think this gave me a completely different perspective going into this book. We're introduced to Ethel Trader, a husbandless woman with children, who appears wealthy on the surface, but is actually struggling to make ends meet. She's forced to take on work that would be considered completely unladylike just to provide for her children. And then the story shifts back to her childhood, giving us insight into how she ended up in this situation. I have to say, the writing really stood out to me. It was creative, sharp, slightly verbose, but in a good way, playful even. I found myself flying through the pages. One of the best parts for me was the falcon training in Ethel's younger years. That was genuinely brilliant. It added something unique. It was entertaining, but also educational. Proper edutainment, if you will. Through that, we get to understand Ethel, her curiosity, her personality, and her relationship with Henry, who slowly becomes a love interest before she even realizes it herself. We see their friendship develop naturally from childhood, which I thought was really well done. The first section of the book is heavily focused on character building. A key dynamic is the rivalry between Ethel and Sigrid, a highborn woman, as they both compete for Henry's attention. I've been there before.
My favourite part.
You should have said both.
I was like, get a Sigrid.
There was one moment in particular that stood out to me. Ethel comes up with a plan that ends up seriously injuring Sigrid, leaving her hospitalized for weeks. She could have died, and Ethel doesn't care. It's almost written like all's fair in love and war moment. But to me, that was genuinely evil. To permanently disfigure someone over a boy?
Absolutely. Boy, not even yours.
That said, I actually liked it as a character moment. It added depth and it made Ethel morally great, and that's far more interesting. You could argue she was just defending what she saw as hers. Henry was hers first, after all. Yeah. Now, I'll admit, at the time reading this, I didn't actually know that Ethel is supposed to be the evil stepmother from Cinderella. And I've seen people say that she wasn't evil enough here, and that she's been toned down to the point of being almost good. But I don't think that's the case. I think she's been made more realistic, because real evil isn't always obvious. It lives in those morally grey decisions. So I co-sign that little bit of creative licensing.
Absolutely. I thought it was great as well. I thought they haven't made her like less evil. They just added context, so now you can understand her motivations.
They're making they're trying to join us into her.
Exactly, as opposed to being muhahaha evil, which is just like doesn't make any sense to
cartoonish, and it's this is like the adult version. This is the adult version of Cinderella.
Absolutely, it's evil pro max. In my opinion, I agree with you. I think that was absolutely evil what she did. It's not even her boyfriend, her husband, whatever. It's just some guy that she thought she saw first anyway. She has no clue.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And it's
so that's a red flag to you. If
absolutely,
so
of course.
So if you found that out and you was about to marry Ethel, you would break off the engagement.
Well, I don't know about that. Who knows what she might do to me? But honestly, she cared more about the horse than the little girl that was like permanently disfigured. She was, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. Is the horse okay? If I was Sigrid, I'd be like, no horse. Lost your mind. So it's a Cinderella retelling. I can roll with that. Rosie and Matilda are meant to be the evil stepsisters, and Eileen is the demure, mistreated one that the prince ends up picking.
I didn't know this, while I was reading it. Only at the end.
I worked this out.
Probably because of your expertise.
There you go. I knew it was coming. I tried to take the bullet out of the chamber before it was fired. Next time I'm gonna.
No, you wanted to
show my bomb.
You decided to shoot yourself instead of being shot. That's what it was.
So Lady Tremaine sees a royal carriage at her door, and knowing that the prince is looking for a wife, rushes to get her daughters ready and presentable. I thought her plan was to offer herself as a wife, because I forgot that it was about Cinderella.
Yeah.
I was just reading the story for what it was. To her surprise, however, the prince's envoy claims that only Aline, her youngest, is invited. The man after my own heart.
Whoa.
Too much.
Whoa.
Too much.
Whoa.
If I might make a suggestion, why doesn't Lady Tremaine just bring one of her other daughters under the alias of Aline? Not like they're going to check her ID on the door. Out of nowhere, this story could suddenly become almost a sort of heist story, which would definitely liven things up a bit. So I definitely thought that's where it was going. I thought she was going to try and smuggle her in.
Well, this is the one time where I think cutting down the cast of characters wouldn't be necessary, because there wasn't too many.
There wasn't too many, but that wasn't like a creative decision. That was obviously the blueprint was there because it's Cinderella retelling. Yeah. But that works for and against the author in multiple ways, which I'll go into a little bit later. But do you want me to go again, or
no? You should be fine now. After drawing the short straw and losing her husband, Ethel realizes pretty quickly that she needs security, and that means finding another man willing to take on her and her children. And I can't lie, that felt manipulative. She remarries quickly, and in doing so, gains a stepdaughter. She moves into her new husband's house and immediately notices something. It's still full of his late wife's belonging. Clothes, personal items, reminders everywhere. And she's not happy about it. She raises it with him. So this is where it gets interesting. Is it unreasonable for Ethel to want to erase the presence of the woman who came before her?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
is it cold? It's unreasonable. Is it cold or just realistic? Because on one hand, asking a man to remove all traces of his dead wife feels harsh, maybe even insensitive. Yeah. But on the other hand, what kind are you building? What kind of life are you building if you're constantly living in somebody else's shadow?
One where you married me because you needed to, because you was broke. That's the reality we're living in. That's the reality she's living in.
But
ask me to
surely
nuts.
You don't think it's unreasonable for her to start as you mean to go on? We do this properly.
Well, leave your kids wherever they came from as well then.
Because that's a reminder.
Since we're building from scratch, why don't we each leave our children from previous marriages wherever they're at?
So if you married
truly...
So if you married a widow, and she said, no, my husband slept there. You got to sleep on the floor.
See, that's different. That's different now. What the hell?
No. What's the difference there?
Okay, if I was forced to go through
you think you're gonna... No.
I would simply be like, why am I in her house, first of all? I might have broke one in this scenario, first of all.
So that's your defense?
Yeah, why would I be in her house?
Okay, so...
Second of all, I think that's different. Sleeping in the bed is different. But if I was like, you got to get rid of all these pictures, you got to get rid of his chair, you got to get rid of... I don't think that's reasonable whatsoever.
Yeah, but surely when two people join together, they go into a situation that they create for themselves. If she's inheriting a situation, that can't be good for a marriage.
Well, they should burn the house down then, because a woman lived in that house. I mean, no amount of getting rid of furniture can take that away.
So you think it's unreasonable for her to ask him to take down a photo?
Was that pre-agreed upon, or?
So what? You can't do anything that's not pre-agreed upon.
Well, she didn't marry somebody with a passed away wife. You should assume they're gonna have pictures of them around the house. You didn't talk about it, or?
In any case,
I think she's batshit crazy. I'll just be honest.
In any case, the situation doesn't even get the chance to fully play out, because not after long, her second husband dies as well. And I can't lie, the way it happened is so abrupt, it actually made me laugh out loud. That was a proper curveball. Again, I don't know how much of this is true to the original fairy tale and how much is the author's own creative input, but one thing I will say is surprisingly, I wasn't bored. And that says a lot, because a fairy tale story like Cinderella is usually not my kind of book. But credit where it's due, the author knows how to keep things entertaining. That said, I did feel like something was missing. For a story rooted in a fairy tale world, I expected a lot more whimsical world building, something richer, more imaginative, more immersive. Instead, it felt a bit surface level, almost like the author didn't fully lean into the potential of the setting, and I think it came across as lazy. So why do you think she had all that verbose jargon junk but couldn't be bothered to create us a world that felt real?
Absolutely.
Because you said that in your first point, obviously.
Probably my number one problem with the story. I don't want to say
number one is crazy, because it's a decorative sort of thing.
It's
everything.
Not really. And the reason why I say it's not decorative is because the book is 15 bastard hours long. You're telling me 15 hours you couldn't fit no world building in there.
Yeah, and if
that's why I feel like
and if it's going to be
problem.
Cinderella, make it.
If it's a novella, if it's a short story, there's no world building. I'll be like, do you know what? Fair enough. It's 12,000 words. How much world building can you really get?
But what I don't get is what's the point of connecting it to Cinderella and not giving it all the pizzazz that goes with it. Like, it could have just been an independent story, had nothing to do with...
That's exactly what I think she should have done, to be fair. But then even in Cinderella, like...
Go on, tell me more. Yes.
There's like, they don't name the prince, they don't name like the kingdom, there's like not much world building, which is obviously makes sense because for children...
but when you can see it, it's different.
It is different,
can see the castles.
But then I suppose the book, even the original must have been a book, I suppose. Was the original book? I don't know. Maybe Walt Disney made like one of them. Who knows?
But yeah, as far as I'm not mad at the story. I don't think it was terrible.
Could have been much better. I think it's quite funny that Lady Tremaine has done so much waffling about the horrors of being a woman, sold into slavery, marriage, but same difference in her worldview. But her dream is literally to sell one of her daughters into marriage. Both, if she could swing it. Another
three,
all three of them, 2.5.
Yeah.
Another way of looking at this kind of story is that anybody can say, I'm oppressed. But when there's no husband or father to rely on, when it's down to you to make the money appear, when it's beg, steal, or kill, or we all starve,
she'd rather get married. She'd rather get married.
And she wouldn't rather get married. She'd rather sell her daughter. She knows how she wasn't trying to get married again for the third time.
Yeah, I think, the argument that these feminists would say is that the system's against us. Of course, I have to marry. 100%. But it didn't seem like that. It seemed like they wanted to do that. It seemed like they was to say, I love the prince. Of course,
I'll be real. Not only is the system not necessarily against her in that way, but the classism system is definitely for her because she's nobility. But not only that, but if the system was against her, she was forced to marry, she would have got married. She was selling her daughters into slavery so that she could live rich, have a nice house and good food and stuff.
That's what they're for.
Is that not what the men in the patriarchy are doing? How is she really better than them?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a bit of a betrayal of the spirit of the story.
I've got one more. What? So you got like?
I've got like 3 more for a summary. I'll go twice, and then you can do one, then I'll do one.
Yeah.
What a delicious twist of fate. Sigrid, the girl Ethel humiliated years ago and stole the sweetheart of, ended up marrying the king's firstborn son and becoming queen. Now Ethel must beg for her favour to secure invitations to the ball for her daughters. This is a powerful twist. We really tap into the dread Ethel must feel at having no choice but to stride into the jaws of the lion. So early in the book, in a flashback chapter, lol, Sigrid and Ethel were essentially competing for Henry Tremaine's affections. After Ethel spitefully leads Sigrid into a wasp nest, resulting in her hand being smashed underneath a fallen horse, Henry chooses Ethel. I mean, I would have too, crazy bitch. What might she have done to Henry if he didn't?
Oh, I thought it was the fact that he probably wouldn't have been able to get a handy.
Oh, he was like, yeah, he was off the table. He was like, it's off the table now. You know, that's what they were doing back in the days. It was super vanilla stuff. But as they say, irony is cruel. After Ethel and Henry's marriage, Henry dies in an untimely manner and leaves Ethel penniless. Now, for her daughter's sake, she must humiliate herself before Sigrid. I was like, yes.
No, I thought that was clever story writing, and this is what I meant when I say that the story was entertaining, because it went left and right and up and down.
It definitely had its moments. It had its moments.
It shows strong story writing when
this
you
is
can do
not
that.
This is not fantasy slop that we normally read. It has its moments, but for like I said, there's a certain amount of credit that you really can't give to the author because it's a Cinderella retelling.
Yeah, but again, if that stuff actually happened in Cinderella, then you can't credit it. But if it didn't, and it's our own creative licensing, then I think you absolutely can.
I mean, that you probably can give to her. I don't know if that actually happens in a story. No, I really don't know. But what I will say is the world building sucks. It takes 2/3 of the book to get the prince's name. We don't know the king's name or the kingdom's name or wherever the story is meant to be set. Rather than painting us a glorious word picture, the author opted instead to babble on about the ins and outs of falconry and pressing apples into cider. I'm sure those are interesting pastimes, and the apple farmer being called Bramley was not lost on me, by the way. Don't know if you noticed that.
No, I didn't.
The Bramley apples, obviously.
Yeah.
I take it the baker is named Hovis and the butter maker is called... I can't believe it's not. But this is fantasy. You think I read fantasy to hear about birds and apples?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I want to see this castle. I want to see this lord of that manor. I want to see... oh my god, jousting. I want to...
Tournament. Even a war tourney. It's got to be a tourney.
They're getting
married.
Yeah. Why don't they do fucking jousting? have some
Falcons jousting.
Melee. Have a melee. Like something like that. I want to see something a bit more whimsical.
Yeah. All right. I think it's time to admit something. The inclusion of the Hawks in this story is a complete MacGuffin.
Yeah.
It felt like it was being set up as something important, something that would actually matter later on. But in the end, it was nothing more than smoke and mirrors, a clever distraction. And honestly, it fits because Ethel herself is an expert in exactly that. Cleverness, manipulation, proper skullduggery. She literally orchestrates a chance meeting. She and her daughters pretend to be damsels in distress, broken down on a country lane, conveniently the exact same road the prince will be travelling down on his way to the royal hunt. He has no choice but to stop, to help, to engage with them, and just like that, they're in. And I can't lie, that was a clever bit of writing. This is a heist job. Do you get what I'm saying? This is con men.
I don't necessarily think it was a clever bit of writing. I found it lazy to be
really.
To be honest, yeah, I found it lazy.
Nah,
so by chance,
no, but that's not what happened.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, but it's like first of all, this is meant to be a world where men don't give a shit about women. So it's like...
okay, I don't know if you're... are you assuming that the author who's reading this is reading this from the feministic standpoint, or was that just a part that she put in? Because I don't think this whole type of story is anti-feminism in its core anyway, because it's about... marrying women, selling them, and blah, blah, blah.
That's not why I thought it was anti-feminism at its core. I thought it was anti-feminism at its core because the main character tries to sell her daughter into marriage after talking about how bad it is for the whole book. But that's why I felt like it was anti-feminist anyways. But anyway, before I interrupt you, carry on.
Before you interrupt me.
Before, after.
But then the story makes a turn. And I mean a turn. A conspiracy is revealed involving a love child through incest. And I mean, does it get more spicy than that? The prince and his sister, the princess, conceived a gift from God. Once again, Eve tempted innocent Adam with the forbidden fructose. I wonder if this is the author's clever way of highlighting the royal scandals that have come to light in a certain royal family members that reside in royal castles. And if that wasn't enough, we then find out that the prince is not just morally questionable, he's outright abusive, violent, dangerous. So now Ethel has a real dilemma, because marrying into royalty solves everything. Her financial problems, gone. Her daughter's futures, secured. Her entire family elevated permanently. The book frames this as a difficult decision for her. It suggests that if it was one of her biological daughters in that position, the choice would be easy. She'd pull them out immediately. But I'm not convinced, because when you really think about it, sacrificing one child for the long-term success, wealth and security of the entire family, that's not a simple no. That's a real uncomfortable decision. Let's be honest, becoming queen isn't exactly the worst fate in the world. So if I had to sacrifice Joseph for the greater good of the family, sorry, brother.
I am the family.
And this is where I think the author misses a massive opportunity. For everyone saying Ethel isn't evil enough in this version, this was the moment to prove otherwise. She could have made the cold, calculated decision to push her stepdaughter into that marriage, not out of cruelty, but out of logic. For the greater good, that would have added a proper moral edge to the story, something it really needed. Instead, the book kind of softens her and then for some reason tries to pivot into a slow burn romance between Ethel and Otto, which just felt unnecessary. But all things considered, not a bad book. Do you disagree?
I don't disagree. Definitely wasn't a bad book.
But I don't know, what's she trying to do with Otto and Ethel and all of that?
Before I get to that, what I want to talk about is what my solution would have been were I in Ethel's dilemma. So essentially what I would have done, and you might think this is a silly
idea, tell the prince to marry all three of them.
Bro, now you're cooking. But no, what I would have done is I would have waited till the day before the marriage, and I would have said, you sign this saying, revealing their conspiracy or whatever, and it's like, basically they get married, but he's not allowed to abuse her stepdaughter unless the whole thing gets revealed or whatever. And if he doesn't
you're going to blackmail the king?
Basically, blackmail the prince. Well, look at what they did. Is it much worse?
Did you see how that went for Ned Stark?
Well, guys, we're talking about conspiracies against the royal family. What they did is significantly worse, and they got away with it.
Well, do you know what? This is actually Game of Thrones all over again, isn't it?
Of course, incest between the brother and the sister and stuff like that. But it's like, It's honestly you just need a little bit. I don't need it to be perfectly original. I just need there to be some world building. I want to get invested. That's why Game of Thrones is so popular, so successful. People get so invested in the world. You know, they get so invested in like the characters, their backstories, this character's relation to that character. It's just the level of detail is insane. So that's at least one reason why it's so popular. This is nothing. It's all foreground. There was not really anything in the background. I don't even know really what to picture when I'm thinking of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Surprise, surprise. The guy Ethel knew literally nothing about turns out to be a bad guy. I guess these are the dangers of selling your stepdaughter off to some dude you don't even know. So, as it turns out, Prince Simeon is not the good guy he or the royal family would have us believe. Are there any good royal princes? Let's be honest.
When you have that much power, it's impossible to be good.
You can't. You have no choice.
What do you mean, no? No?
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know who I am?
She must not know.
Doesn't matter that you're my sister. I am the king.
Legit. Any man who must say I am the king. As it turns out, Prince Simeon is not the good guy he or the royal family would have us believe. In fact, he impregnated his own sister, and now they need to marry him off quickly to pass the baby off as his own legitimate heir. Do you know how diabolical you have to be as a man that you are the one that has to get married off because of a baby? It's normally women that have to do that. They get pregnant.
Why did she get pregnant though?
Who told us to do that? She decided not to. It's an inside joke.
But yeah, no.
In a sickening realization, Ethel gleans that Otto wasn't trying to save the prince from her daughters, but rather save her daughters from the abusive prince. Did Frida McFadden co-write this? It absolutely screams McFadden, even down to the forced kiss scene between Otto and Ethel as they chase after the prince to free Eileen. For me, forcing romance in at the end is a betrayal of everything this story is meant to be about, the sacred bond between mother and daughter. It cheapened it for me, and we gained nothing from that scene.
And what makes it worse is that Otto and Ethel end up happily ever after, but not married.
Oh, yeah, not married.
I don't want to get married again, but we can have some form of partnership.
We can be for the streets, basically, is what she said.
That was her win for feminism at the end.
Insane. Anyway, the ending is a bit rushed and feels quite slapdash to me. They find the prince, rescue the girl, and then he follows them back home, alone for some reason.
Exactly.
In the ensuing fight, Eileen hits Simeon over the head and kills him. Yep. In my opinion, they should all hang for treason. They abducted the prince's betrothed and then murdered him, then covered it up. It would have been a delicious ending if, after all they'd been through, Sigrid threw them all in jail as vengeance for her son. This story is meant to be about what a mother will do for her children, after all. Maybe a great way to end this book would be to remind Ethel and the readers that she's not the only mama bear in town.
Yeah,
that'd have been crazy. She hangs them all at the end. Sigrid, and she gets the last laugh. Yeah. That'd have been a brilliant ending.
Yeah. So the components, you still got the summary. Yeah, the components were there. Let's hear what you got to say, and then.
I thought some of the components were there. Like I said, world building definitely wasn't there at all. But the powerful themes were definitely there. Powerful.
I would read something from her again.
I would as well. Powerful themes and flashes of brilliant writing. Making it a retelling of Cinderella killed it for me, though. It prevents the author from making interesting characters because they have to stick to the general character archetype of Cinderella's story. The world building was insanely bad, as I said. And for me, if a story is going to be as long as this one, you've got to have some decent world building. Also, giving us a tragic ending was such a tap-in. This is meant to be a reimagining of Cinderella, Fairytale bones, but a more modern take of the story, with elements of patriarchy and female oppression. If they were going to give us a happy ending, they might as well have had Eileen marry the bloody prince.
Yeah. So, do you think the cost outweighed the benefit of having a Cinderella story? Because obviously that's promotion. You're guaranteed sales.
It's true. But at the same time, I feel like this genre, like romantasy slop, you're gonna get reads, you're gonna make sales, and I just feel like she boxed herself in.
It's easy to say that, though. It's easy to say that.
No, it is easy to say that, but there is
thousands of books we've never heard of. Do you know?
There's thousands of books we've never heard of for sure, but it's like, I just think there is, even if you called it Lady Tremaine, and it was just about someone with the name Tremaine, which, no one has rights to or whatever.
I don't know.
You can easily do that. Oh. I mean, it's got to be in the public domain. We're talking Walt Disney. This guy's not alive anymore. It's got to be in the public domain. But I think she boxed herself in, sort of thing. Like, this could have been set in World War I England, and it would be the exact same story.
Yeah,
exact same story.
Yeah.
So I just think I feel like she boxed herself in. She made it about a ball. Like, I didn't care. She made it about like the Falcons and stuff. I didn't really care.
Again, these are not deal breakers to me.
Even
the Cinderella's not deal breakers. I think if we added a little bit of moral evil in, and there was something else, and world building. I think we could really
Made her like Cersei.
we could really boost this up to be even a 4-star book.
I don't think there's anything in this book that was a deal breaker. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing's a deal breaker. Like I said, this is far and away from the worst story I've ever read. It is like not even in a conversation for.
And for that reason, 1 star. But yeah, no. So would you recommend it, and what would you rate it?
I probably
I think it's
would
easy.
recommend it, but it depends who I'd recommend.
I think
it to.
yeah, of course, it always does.
Yeah, it always does.
I think it's an easy 3 stars. If
2.
it was,
I said 2.
Jesus,
Wow,
easy
it's
3,
harsh.
easy 3-star. I mean, when we have a story that's Cinderella, that's not boring, and it wasn't just not boring; it was entertaining. There was a little bit of clever writing. There was moral decisions. You know, we had the evil main character. I think that straight away we've got 3 stars.
I think I took points off because one, like I said, world building. I'm a bit up.
Yeah, that was
about it.
you
Disgraceful.
you shouldn't let your book come out without
Legit.
addressing that
And
problem.
your editors get fired as well.
Spanking
and
as
2
well is in order.
And 2, the ending, shocking ending. Just
rushed.
romantically slop in. They shoved that romance thing in at the end, which really. I didn't like the cut of that jib, as they say, whatever that means. But
they murdered the prince and
murdered the
buried
prince,
him in the back garden.
Buried him in the back garden underneath fucking the tomato plants or whatever it is, and the apple trees. Buried him in the back garden, and the reckoning never came for that. The prince just vanished,
disappeared. No one
reckoning
cared.
never came for that. Sigrid didn't get it. There was like so many directions they could have gone in that would have made a more interesting ending, and they just went with a happily ever after, liberal, la la la,
Again,
kind of ending. And it's like, but this is meant to be the opposite. It's a Cinderella, not a retelling, a reimagination. It's a reimagination of Cinderella. So everything Cinderella's supposed to be, the story, not the character. Flip it. Everything is supposed to be.
She did. Cinderella didn't marry the prince. That's enough.
I hear that, but Cinderella's not even in the story. It wasn't about Cinderella. But what I'm saying is, why is there a happy ending? Fairy tales always have happy endings. So it's like the one thing that connects all of them. Happy ending.
Fair
For
enough.
me, I said 2 stars. Maybe
Fair
2
enough.
stars is harsh.
I think it is, but you know, it's your prerogative.
It is my prerogative for sure.
Do you want to end with the quote of the day?
I believe it's your turn.
It's almost like you know it's coming. It's like once you finish, you're like, fuck.
It does happen. I'm just like, what do we normally do?
Well,
I'm gonna start getting quotes from the actual book. That'd make more sense, innit?
You're not clever enough for that.
Damn, it's right there. It's right in front of me.
I said what I said. Till next time.
Till next time.